You start trimming trimming them down. We always had that leak for the sidewalk. You can't walk on it. It's near the McCullens area, right there. That's the property she's referring to. Is those properties.
I'm quite sure the city have rolled by their numerous times and seen that area over there that need to be cut. And I should have to come and stand before the city and ask them to come cut grass, because my taxes and everybody's taxes over there is the same as everywhere else.
So, well, let me ask you a question, Ms. Linda. Is that where the FFA has the cattle?
Mm-hmm. That's 8th Street.
So the high school is supposed to take care of that?
We discussed that about a couple of meetings ago about who was responsible for it. We talked about the county, because it was county.
We can't, we can't maintain private property or other
That was
people's
county.
property.
It's not private property, this is the city.
No, I think if it's where the FFA was, that's the school system, it's not the city. The school system owns that property.
But what she's saying is on this side this side of the property.
When you're walking on the streets.
Along the road, now the
On
right
the
of way,
roadway.
if it's ours, if we own
Yes,
the right of way,
right.
that's our responsibility.
Yes.
But like the property
The
itself.
property owners.
But we don't always own the right of way, just because there's a road there, we have to make,
Ms. Higgins, JL and I will be there tomorrow morning and take a look. I just need specifics as far as exactly, or I'll just drive all the way down 6th Street and all the way down 8th Street, because.
You start at 950
No,
to
okay.
1302 Southwest 6th Street.
To 1302, okay.
And you can start at 1602 to 1802 Southwest 8th Street.
Okay. We'll be out there in the morning looking at it, because if it's the FFA place for the cattle, I rode by the other day, I mean, nobody's taking care of this field at all. And it's,
I know you're talking about the field, but I'm just talking about the sidewalk where people walk at.
we'll be out there in the morning, we'll look at it.
All right,
'Cause
thank you.
I want the same thing you want. I want to pick it up.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anita Williams?
Hello, Anita Williams, 4311 Fifth Avenue, LA. Thank you for allowing me to speak. Today we had a meeting with the District Attorney Durrett, the Sheriff St. John, the Undersheriff Buddy Williams, the lead for the Swanee School Resource Officers, and Ms. Janicek, assistant from the State Attorney's Office. The persons that set up that meeting are here. Our leader, Pastor Gibson of the Civil Rights Organization. We're working with Mr. Crawford and Mr. White. And that meeting was about a couple of things, civil citations, but the one that concerns the city is crime and murder in our communities. At the meeting was also Commissioner Perkins and Commissioner Fleming. So the problem we have, I'm in and out of the state, but I've been told they've been asking to meet with the two people where these crimes are quite prevalent. City Council person Ms. Brown and City Councilman Mr. Thomas, and we need to add Mr. Sessions, because I was told the police chief was invited to this meeting today, and other meetings he's been invited to, and he was not there. That's what I was told. So the problem is, we wanted to find out, there's a murder that happened a few weeks ago. There's nothing been done about it. We talked to the sheriff that's actually under the police department. So we wanted to know if there's money for a reward for the arrest and conviction of this person who killed the person just in cold blood. I was told, I wasn't in the state. I was also told that the city police chief and the city police, which when we asked how many people they have, I don't think they have that large of a staff, because we've asked about patrolling the area more, and the sheriff said he doesn't want to step on any toes, but we were asking if he could give help to the city on these crimes, ride through the neighborhood more, because the person that was murdered, I think that's Ms. Brown, and between Ms. Brown and Mr. Burke District on Walker Street, I think it was, I wasn't here. And then we have, I'm an advocate, Mr. White, Mr. Crawford, Mr. Gibson, Commissioner Fleming's district, where he lives, Commissioner Perkins. They're massive amounts of drive-bys. I live in LA and I'm stunned by the amount of drive-by shootings, and people have not even heard about them. I have a kid I mentor that lives off Walker Street near African Baptist. His house was shot up after they were outside playing basketball. Commissioner Fleming says he cannot sit on his porch anymore because he doesn't want to be shot. They're shooting in Commissioner Perkins' neighborhood. I called the police one day. A man shot a person running past my mother's house over on Miller Street at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So we just want to find out what help can we get. Can there be a reward for this killing that they don't have if people aren't talking? Can somebody speak to Crime Stoppers? Can we get more drive-throughs over in those areas? Can you guys do a workshop? Can you meet with I've had 2 shootings in my area, but the main big shooting, they seem to be there's even been in Mr. Jefferson's area, but most of the people calling me, they seem to be in the west area. So if there could be some kind of meeting about this, to get the sheriff and the police and the city manager and the council to see what we can do, because one person is dead, but stray bullets have no names. And somebody is going to get killed when people feel free to drive around past your house and just start shooting in the broad daylight. So we are begging you. I don't know if some of the other people that came in late may want to speak. I don't know if Pastor Gibson, our leader, wants to speak, but we are very afraid that someone is going to get killed if we don't have more presence of driving through, looking at where people are congregating. Are they doing things that, may lead to these shootings and drive-by? But I was asked to come up here after we met with that group today because the sheriff said that's a city issue. So if we can please, before somebody else is killed from these rash of shooting. Thank you.
I have one comment. I was on scene the next morning myself, as well as our police staff. I've heard all the rumors from a lot of people that there are people in this town that knows who did the shooting, but nobody's speaking. So I don't know how my police department can solve a crime if they don't get any leads. So I don't even think that giving a reward, if we're allowed to, I don't even know if we're allowed to as a city, but would even do that, because what I hear is, well, I'm scared to speak up because I might get shot. I know we have a lot of gang issues coming out of Jasper and Lake City, and we try to keep our area clean as we can. I personally patrolled neighborhoods and gotten license plate numbers myself for the police department when I was given a description of a vehicle. So I care about the crime, but we need the help from the community to speak out. If you see something, say something, because we can't go on. I've got 10 9mm shells here on the ground because it was a very bad killing. Okay, it was point blank.
I don't want to come back, but Mr. Durrett did agree that
before we get into this discussion, this was my district. Okay, yeah, let's because I've already spoken with the chief, and they've got some things going on lots of things that we don't say that goes on that we know.
Exactly.
And this is what they don't understand, that we cannot disclose lots of stuff to you until you get the facts, and they're working on what goes on. It's just a matter of...
we don't want specifics. We want some preventative measures as well.
They do that. They have that. They're doing that as well. But there are things that there's an order that they have to... I'm very close to that area. Let me just say this, and this is my last comments. Okay, here's my thing is, we're concerned about that district over this. That's my district. I live over there. I complained numerous of times about the shootings. There were shootings last night over there. Okay, they shoot all the time. Okay, so yes, there's patrol over there. If you go over there now, you find the state troopers over there. They have state troopers over there, there are police over there, there's steady swamp. Our issue is nobody wants to come forward to say who's doing nobody wants to come forward to say who's doing it. I've gone to some confidential informants myself and asked them to come forward. Nobody wants to come forward. How can we clean up our area if we ourselves don't come forward and speak up? That's the problem that I have. I have no beef with it. Brothers, family, whoever. I have no beef with it. But I have personally gone to confidential to do things for them. And yes, the police department, they're doing things that they cannot tell you what they're doing right now because they can't. But yes,
Let me be clear. I don't want any information
Yeah.
on what they're doing. I don't want that to be discussed. What I ask is, the sheriff's department is much bigger, because we know the number of people on the police department. The sheriff's department is larger than the police department, and the sheriff's department actually covers the city and the county. So what we were asking today to the sheriff's department is, do you have the manpower to help and to do some policing, some drive-throughs, and to help with this case? We don't want to know the specifics of the case, but the state attorney did agree that if you have Crime Stoppers and anonymous tips, because you don't get paid until you have credible reporting. You can do anonymous rewards, because I was told today that I think the 5,000 came down for the pawn shop person that was shot, and then somebody matched some money, and that money helped find the person who did that heinous crime. So our issue in that discussion today was, are there funds for this is a low economic neighborhood in some areas. Somebody needs a few $1,000s. And if you have a mechanism to report someone anonymously and get paid, and they get convicted, I think money would change the reporting, because we talked about this, that nobody wants to report what was done. That was discussed today. That's a given. And we tried to come up with ideas that may help push people to report. We know from the meeting earlier today that that's a problem. So that's not what I'm here for. I'm here to talk about it would have been better if the police chief was to the meeting, because I was told he was invited. There was not usually if you're not going to come, you send I'm sorry, whatever. I'm not sure about that. I wasn't on that. I'm not in charge of that. But I want to really make it clear, we're not trying to know any issues about the case. We want to be proactive. We want more presence, and I know I live in an area, I was told today there's no gang task force here where you can have people not be able to congregate 9, 10 people at a time, that you can stop and ask for their ID to run warrants. You know, that cuts down on crime. I volunteer back where I live in my neighborhood, and there's things that we do to kind of mitigate some crimes, and one of those is police and sheriff's presence riding through the high target areas for these issues. Police chief coming to the meeting when the sheriff and the state attorney's there, with everybody being there to answer the question that this group gets from people in the community. Even having the council people there, and you weren't invited, that was a mistake.
That was going to be my question, is
Yeah.
why, if you're going to talk about the city, why didn't me or the mayor?
Well,
know
it
about
started out as other things, and we added the murder and the shooting because we found out there was another shooting last night. It started out first as school-based and sheriff issues and civil
I
citations.
mean, y'all could have called me during the meeting, I would show
What-
up.
what-
Because, you know, I'm very concerned about the
Yeah,
city.
and I apologize for that because we said when we got there and you weren't there and the police chief wasn't there, we said we also should have invited Mr. Sessions because that's his upline, right? So that was our mistake. That won't happen again. I want to guarantee you that. I want to, we, the group that put this together, take responsibility for that. But, and there were other issues of criminal activity, threats and stalking of Mr. White that was discussed. A lot of criminal activity ended up coming because so much stuff is happening. And I had to say to the sheriff and Mr. Buddy Williams, I've been gone a long time. And I was innocent and naive to the level of crime in Live Oak and Suwannee County. And it's scary. I don't want to take up any more time, but it's scary. People are calling us as a group. They're scared for their children. They're scared to go out at night. They're scared to sit on porches.
Mr. Sessions,
Please.
can I address just a couple issues I think may help? I'm Captain Jason Roundtree with the Live Oak Police Department, filling in for Chief of Police Keith Davis' anniversary, so I actually substituted so that he could enjoy his anniversary with his wife. You asked some very valid questions, and I don't want to take a lot of the time that you guys have here. I just want to address a couple. You're right. Finances help. There are rewards through Crime Stoppers that are currently being offered. We're in conversation with FDLE at this point. Crime Stoppers is actually, we have received a few tips on this homicide on Walker and 9th Street as a result of the Crime Stoppers. Unfortunately, those tips are information that we already have produced. I called out that night, worked the case with our investigation. I've been working major case crimes since 2012 in the city and oversee that department now. Some perspective just to kind of aid in this. We're two different agencies, but we police very much the same way. Suwannee County Sheriff's Office polices about 2,000 case numbers a month. In the county, their obvious issue is geographical boundaries, so they take a long time to respond, a great distance to those calls. They currently police that with about 58 members. The Live Oak Police Department polices around 800 to 1,000 calls for service, and while that seems like half as much, understand that that's with about 15 members to 17 members fully staffed. We're at 20. So understand that we have a 7,000 count residential area in the city of Live Oak, but our car count is 35 to 40,000 people. So that presents its own challenges. But I will tell you that you have a very competent investigative team. We've spent countless hours. I think I finally went home after about 28 hours that night, around 7 o'clock in the morning. We do have, I can't talk about the open case, and I know, respectfully, I know you said you're not interested in the details. And while I can't talk the specific details of that case, I will tell you that we've made some significant, when you said nothing's been done, I know what you were talking from, but understand that we have made some significant leaps in that case. We have some very good information. And just as a point of reference too, the members that you, Mr. Crawford, Mr. White, the pastor, and both county commissioners that you mentioned, we actually did have a meeting with them and the victim's mother in reference to that case. So we did meet directly with them to discuss some details. And honestly, I think openly in that meeting, we discussed some very providential things that I think from both sides we came to recognize. There are certain hurdles that we have to overcome, and I think the greatest one, there's two different homicides that we currently have open without speaking directly to the evidence and to the issues in that case. One is an evidence-based issue that will resolve itself. The other is a community-based issue that we spoke openly about those challenges. And one of the recommendations that was made is within your community, there's different reasons. Some people don't want to get involved, and fear is certainly a very natural source, and also relationship. We spoke to that. The relationship that the Live Oak Police Department has with the members of that community certainly can be improved, and we want to work towards that. But I would just encourage you, money or not, that particular case, what we're asking you, there's in all likelihood there were many members there to witness that case. So we have an abundance of evidence, but we need witness information. Now we also understand how scary that can be. And I have a wife and 3 daughters, and my home is my first protection. And no offense to any of you guys, but if a fire broke out, they're the first ones I'm saving. Most of us feel that way. So, but we would just encourage members of the community. It's easy to say things are broken, but really there's a lot of things that can be fixed here too. So I would just encourage you, there is a tremendous body of work. The meetings would be a continual effort to be made. I know I've met several hours with the state attorney in reference to some of these cases, and I think you're right. A lot of those answers are getting together and being more transparent and more accountable. Some things you can't talk about transparently because it ruins the case value, but I think there's some substance to what you're saying too. I think I mentioned, if I didn't, we're talking to FPLE about upping the values, but the money itself doesn't seem as valuable to us right now as church within the community to come forward. And usually it only takes one or two. I had a really good conversation today on this case, in fact, and we're hoping that that will turn some details over, because once that one person comes forward, there's security in numbers and other people too. So I think you made some valid questions.
But Mr. Roundtree, I want to correct you. If I said anything about nothing was being done, it's not the case. For the case, I just wanted to speak on how to get those witnesses we know that were there to talk.
Yes,
When I talk about being done, I'm talking more proactive. Being
Yeah, no, I'm sorry, and yeah, to clarify that, so we had a recent, one of the shootings, and to be clear too, the shootings are a challenge being faced by both the county and the city. From a law enforcement standpoint, progressive, proactive law enforcement is the answer in my world. That's a challenge to the community, because progressive, reactive law enforcement can produce its own challenges of civil rights and making sure we're all following those guidelines and boundaries. I would agree with you. High visibility law enforcement is what tends to start to wean off these activities. It's a challenge in our world today. In fact, the group that I mentioned that we met with, one of the things that we're facing in both our agencies is attrition. Statewide, this is an issue. So as we see our resources grow, hopefully we can apply more pressures to that, but that's always been a challenge. Numbers are always something that you wish you had more of, and trust me, I would love for the county or the city council to say, hey, you guys, here's $100,000 more, go hire some more help, and we could certainly turn the tide in that area. But we work with what we have, and I will tell you, you have a department that, based on those numbers that I gave you, 1,000 case numbers a month for 15 or 16 people with attrition levels being faced. These guys are working hard, so just, I mean, I know that I'm biased towards that, but just wanted to give them a little bit of a plug too. So, and I appreciate meeting these guys. Hope I didn't take too much time.
Thank you.
I
know this is public comment time.
One more comment. So since I've been here, I recognize the issue, and I've hired 2 more officers and bought 2 more police cars to help with the patrol. So I'm not sitting back on my haunches, waiting for things to happen. We're being proactive in our police department.
Thank you.